Hello, I'm Mindy Lee, Head of Art at the Blyth Music and Arts Centre, Imperial College, London. I'm speaking to Lisha Zhong, this year's Blyth Art Fellowship winner. Hi Lisha.
Hi Mindy.
I'm curious to know how you found the fellowship experience and if you have any advice for Imperial students thinking of applying.
Yeah, sure I do.
What is the Blyth Art Fellowship?
So the Blyth Art Fellowship is a really amazing opportunity for all artists at Imperial. Throughout the year, you will have bespoke mentoring support with Mindy, who is the curator of the Blyth Gallery, and you will also be organising one-to-one tutorials with various artists and art professionals to support your development. The fellowship also includes membership to the Tate for a year, which gives you unlimited access to their exhibitions. You're also allocated a space on a 10-week drawing course, as well as a materials budget. And so everything is basically to aid your growth over the year so that you can create new work to be shown at the Blyth Gallery in the following summer.
How did the fellowship help develop your practice?
The fellowship has been really incredible in helping to develop my own practice. So looking back over the past year, I really can't believe just how much my work has changed. So of course, during the process, everything seems incremental, but it really does add up. And I think the biggest catalysts for me have been the tutorials, which were pretty evenly spaced out through the year. So after a few months, every conversation was this kind of opportunity to reflect on and to reassess the pieces that I'd made, as well as gaining new insights and perspectives. So especially because my work draws on personal experience. So when people from various different backgrounds approach it, it's always new and exciting to me to learn how differently we can interact with the same piece. And it's kind of this complexity that really enriches the work. And even within myself, it's also been really interesting to think about the pieces I'd made over and over again and realize that every time I could develop a new thought or understanding of the work, and it's really changed not just how I create art, but also how I experience it in general, and understanding that your relationship to a piece doesn't have to be fixed or have an end, but really it's always open-minded instead. And I think the other thing is that the tutorials themselves have really given me a lot more confidence through critically discussing my work during this fellowship. And it's really nurtured my practice and allowed me to express myself with this kind of honesty and vulnerability that I didn't feel capable of before.
What was the best and most challenging part of the fellowship?
For me, the best part of the fellowship was definitely being able to work towards a solo exhibition. So it's been really exciting to know that you have the space and the freedom to project your creativity and imagination into. And having said that, the exhibition ultimately is the culmination of your practice throughout the year. And so it was massively helped by having tutorials with professional artists and academics that have the expertise and understanding in your fields of interest to really help challenge you and help you grow. And also, I think because I find that the way in which I approach creating my own work can be a very solitary experience, because it usually stems from a very private and personal space. So having this kind of opportunity to discuss deeply and critically the underlying themes and meanings that underpin my work really transformed the way in which I saw it. And so it changed from being a product of my own intention to being almost a starting point for others to bring in their own interpretations. I think the most challenging part of the fellowship was definitely striking the balance between wanting to make the most of this unique opportunity alongside all the other commitments at Imperial. So the balance will definitely be different for everyone depending on what you hope to gain from the experience. But I will say that the most important thing is just to make sure you're always enjoying it.
Okay, this is a long question. You didn't get the Blyth Fellowship first time around, but you received the Art Award. What was that like? And how did it help you? And why did you reapply?
I previously received the Art Award before getting the fellowship, which honestly I'm really happy about. So when I first applied, I knew that I had a creative side, but it hadn't yet crystallized into a practice that really had an identity that I could stand behind. The portfolio that I brought to interview basically consisted of things that I created over the years, starting from GCSE through A-level, and then more illustrative work that I'd done during my undergraduate degree. So I had some underlying ambition to do art, but not really the confidence to follow through with creating more ambitious or substantial works. So I saw the Blyth application process as an opportunity to talk seriously about art. Fortunately, at the time, Mindy and Thomas saw some potential in me, and through the Art Award, I was able to have my first ever art tutorial with Anna Ilse. And I remember being really quite overwhelmed by this intense session, but also incredibly inspired to have the chance to basically have my ideas taken seriously and interrogated really thoroughly by a practicing artist. And she probably won't remember herself, but I was really taken by what she said towards the end of the tutorial about art and how it doesn't matter what you do as long as you take it seriously. And honestly, it was exactly what I needed to hear at the time. And from then on, whenever I've had an idea, it would give me that push I needed to take it further and into reality. And from that, I then created the body of work that got me the Art Fellowship.
What skills do you need to do the Blyth Fellowship?
To do the fellowship, I would say that it's not going to just be dependent on your technical skill set, because that's something that you can always improve on. I think that an important skill to have would definitely be time management. Obviously, this implies in most areas of life, but really quite often art just takes time. So not just in this physical act of creation, but also in being able to have the mental space to think through ideas, let them fail or succeed, and also knowing when to take a step back and not letting yourself feel overwhelmed all the time by, all the 101 things you may have on your mind that you want to do on the fellowship. And another thing would be to just keep an open mind and always be willing to learn. So your practice and your interests are always going to change, and you should allow that to happen. It's not always easy to accept new ideas and interpretations if you're not used to it, but often this is the exciting part, the being challenged and letting the process help your work evolve. And I think that this is most evident through doing tutorials where you'll get questions about your work, learn about new concepts and interpretations that just may not have crossed your mind otherwise. And lastly, a big cliche, but I would say just to have a lot of enthusiasm, because the fellowship can be a lot to handle at times. So just make sure you know how to keep it an enjoyable experience for yourself.
Why should people apply?
I think anyone who has ever wanted the chance to take their art more seriously should apply. It's an absolutely special opportunity to be able to have a full year of professional artistic support, both from Mindy and the tutorials. Furthermore, the opportunity to have your work shown in the same London gallery, which exhibits incredible works of artists throughout the year, is this amazing honor. And furthermore, the experience of curating your own show was a surprising highlight I didn't even know that I was missing out on. And also, even if you don't get the fellowship, the Art Award still represents a really great opportunity to get one-to-one mentoring with a practicing artist. And I can guarantee that the discussion will stimulate your practice in a way that you won't expect, but definitely for the better. And in the same way, even the interview experience itself can be pretty exciting, although maybe a bit daunting. But it's not every day you get to talk in depth about your art practice. Mindy and Thomas are also both just really lovely people who want to support you and understand your work better. So basically, I would say it's a win-win experience because there's nothing really to lose by applying, and if anything, you'll come out a better artist from it.
Have you any advice for those thinking of applying?
For those thinking of applying, my advice would be to practice thinking about what it is that's important to you in your art and how those intentions feed into your output. So it's not always about having a high concept idea, but more about being sincere and having the conviction to stand by your artistic choices within the context of your work. And in terms of the work that you choose to submit and bring to your interview, I would say that although, of course, it's good to show variety and breadth in your ideas and skill set, but it should be in a way that can still convey who you are as an artist and the kind of themes that are important to you. So I would suggest that it would consist of pieces that complement and reinforce each other, but also with enough diversity and interest that it does show off your unique perspective. And another point to make would be that although it can feel good to only bring in works that are polished, it's also important to bring in newer pieces which may show elements of uncertainty in your practice that are still in flux, because ultimately what that's going to show is that you're still able and willing to learn and grow your practice further. And I think that's really important because the fellowship is an opportunity for you as an artist to develop throughout the year, rather than just being awarded a fellowship as an accolade in itself. Unfortunately, I think purely because art is so visual, it's very hard to give specific advice, but I hope that this was helpful. And if you apply, I do wish you all the best.
It's been really helpful. Thanks, Lisha. I can't wait to see what you make next. If you're an Imperial student thinking of applying, why not give it a go? I'm looking forward to seeing your art.